Hello everyone, and welcome back to our yearly roundup of all the weird news that has happened in 2023. I'm back today with a few more weird tales from the year just past. This isn't your usual news roundup, this is strictly the stuff that makes you go, what? As quite frankly, the regular news is far too depressing and genuinely terrifying. So instead, we'll be exploring a few lighter, weird and wonderful stories that may have not made it into the regular newspaper. Now that's not to say that these stories don't dally with the dark side, because they most definitely do, but there's also some light-hearted strangeness too. But don't worry, if anything is going to be hideously awful, then I'll give you a heads up first. So with a disclaimer out of the way, let's jump into February. But before we kick off on today's tales, if you are new here, then hi, my name's Nikki, and I make podcasts, videos, and TikToks about all sorts of weird stuff. So if you're into that, which I have a sneaking suspicion you might be, then please hit subscribe so we can hang out together again. And if you're not new here, then welcome back, old fiend. Nice to see you again. Now, today we start off with something which I personally love, and that's a good old-fashioned cryptid sighting. But this is one that I've never heard of before, and you may not have either. But rest assured, it might be the most terrifying of them all. Authorities in the Philippines were alerted to a series of strange events occurring in Talisay surrounding a creature known as the Manananggal. The peculiar episode unfolded on the 9th of February in the Talisay community, where two girls claimed to have witnessed an unusual creature perched on top of a house, looming over the landscape. According to their eyewitness accounts, the creature in question possessed bat-like wings and exhibited the ability to separate its body at the torso, an attribute commonly associated with the mythical creature known only as a Manananggal in Philippine folklore. Now, unsurprisingly, the girls were incredibly disturbed by the encounter, and so they promptly reported the sighting to the authorities as they feared the creature may be planning to wreak havoc on their town. Very quickly, the news of the creepy cryptid began to spread, which ignited a wave of discussions throughout the entire community regarding the mysterious Manananggal and the possibility of it showing up elsewhere. And they wouldn't have to wait long before it did. Well, at least something similar did. Just days after the initial incident, additional reports surfaced about a different creature spotted in a nearby town. This one with a human body and a head resembling that of a pig. These new accounts intensified the anxieties and apprehensions within the community, prompting local authorities to treat the matter with utmost seriousness. To address the escalating concerns from residents of the towns, authorities conducted a press conference to try and calm people's nerves. They assured residents that they would thoroughly investigate the horrifying reports and encouraged the community to promptly contact the police if there were any further unusual sightings or incidents. Additionally, officials advised against spreading rumours and hearsay about the Manananggal, emphasising that such actions could needlessly fuel panic and fear and create a mass hysteria. In the interim, the two girls who originally saw the fleeting sighting of the perched creature on the rooftop one evening were sent to counselling, as both of them were suffering from PTSD after the incident. The severity of the incidents was taken incredibly seriously by police, and as such, they pledged to take every possible measure to guarantee the safety and welfare of the community. Despite these assurances, persistent rumours surrounding the Manananggal were ongoing in the town, leaving many residents on edge and apprehensive about potential encounters with the creature during the dark hours of the night. But why were residents so terrified of a creature which sounds like just another cryptid? Well, firstly, the Manananggal is a truly terrifying sight to behold. It's a creature which can fly, but in order to do so, it has to jettison its lower half. This effectively means that this is just a torso flapping around in the night sky. The folklore behind the creature says it's a witch-like woman which will sprout wings, rip away from the ground, leaving its lower half behind before chasing after women, particularly pregnant women, as it's those it feasts upon. Now, just because the cryptid leaves its legs behind, this doesn't mean it can't go back and rejoin them. Allegedly, the story goes that the legs are left behind to make flying easier, but if the legs are found by someone, they can prevent the recoupling of the parts by pouring salt over them. This means the Manananggal has to stay in flight, and as they cannot be out in the sunlight, they crumble to dust when the sun rises. Additionally, the creature is believed to harbour an aversion to garlic, so this makes them all round like a vampire-type creature. This captivating legend has inspired numerous Filipino horror films and remains an enduring part of Philippine cultural lore. Similar entities with detachable features exist in Southeast Asia, such as the Penanggal in Malaysia and the Krashu in Thailand, though these creatures detach from their heads instead. So with these horrifying sightings having been reported, what was next? Would the creature, or should that be creatures, return? Well, after the panic had subsided, no further reports seem to have been made. However, locals have heeded a warning to pregnant women in the surrounding area to not go out after dark, just in case the Manananggal should be waiting. Before we head into our next tale from February, I think it's time we delved into a tale of procrastination from this year and to talk about something which has really helped me throughout 2023, and that's Magic Mind. I'm not kidding when I say I've got a soft spot for Magic Mind. It's a staple in my kitchen, and over the past year it's been a lifesaver for me and revolutionised the way I work. This little super drink is my partner in crime for creating almost every single episode on my channel over the course of 2023, and I cannot recommend it enough. The longer I'm sipping on Magic Mind, the clearer my focus becomes, banishing those procrastination spells that can sometimes haunt me for days. Sipping on these adorable green shots alongside my morning coffee has become an unskippable part of my daily routine, and I find they give me calm clarity and an unwavering focus that just allows me to crush my task list for the day. A shot in the morning, about an hour before I start my script writing, allows me to just breeze through the tedious bits, retaining all the info I need. Honestly, I used to find I would read a sentence 10 times and still not remember it, but with the help of Magic Mind, I'm now a one and done reader. It really has made everything easy peasy for me, and it's a real time saver for me in my daily routine. These cute shots pack a punch with a delicious blend of nootropics, adaptogens, lion's mane, and cordyceps mushrooms, ceremonial grade matcha green tea, and a bonus dose of vitamins B, C, and D, along with immune boosting echinacea. Now, it's really versatile and you can mix it into your morning smoothie, or if you're like me, as we approach the hecticness of the holidays and time is short, I've just resorted to drinking it on the go. The dinky bottles make it perfect for your travels as well. Now, I wouldn't recommend anything I didn't love myself, and Magic Mind has truly upped my concentration game, and I really think it's revolutionised the way I work. So if you're struggling to hit that 100% every day, then join me on this focus journey. It's a total game changer. Now here's the real magic. I've conjured up an exclusive deal just for you. Head to www.magicmind.com/Macabre London and use my code Macabre London for up to a jaw-dropping 50% off a subscription or a sweet 20% off your first one-time purchase. The 50% off code disappears in just 10 days. That's www.magicmind.com/MACABRELONDON and use the code MACABRELONDON. Go, 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 or else you'll miss out. Thanks for supporting our sponsor. Now let's move on to our final story. Now, Moving on to a serious topic, here is my promised warning whenever I cover anything that has actually appeared in the normal news. Our next topic is the disappearance of Nicola Bulley and the many subsequent awful things that happened surrounding it. In particular, the involvement of a psychic and the reaction of the general public. So for those of you that didn't come across this story at the time, it was absolutely everywhere in the news. Nicola Bulley, a 45-year-old mortgage broker from Lancashire, disappeared after leaving home to walk her dog on the 27th of January 2023. Her body was found 3 weeks later on the 19th of February, a mile downstream from where her mobile phone was left on a bench, still logged into a conference call she'd been on. Almost immediately, the police came under fire, as this was seemingly not a very difficult case to solve, and yet it took them 3 weeks to find her. Nicola's dog was found by the river, off the lead. It was relatively obvious that she had fallen into the river. However, the police were unable to find her, and so the media descended into a feeding frenzy around the poor missing woman and her family. As time ticked on, the police theorised there was no foul play involved, and that this was just a tragic accident. But the way they handled the case came under scrutiny, as sadly for Nicola, they released private details about her life to the public. Elements of Nicola's private medical records were released to the public, which implied this may have been something she'd done to herself, and not just a tragic accident, which was at odds with the evidence available, and also their own statements they'd made. It didn't help the case and was salacious detail, which should have easily been omitted. The reveal of these details, which I won't repeat as I personally don't feel they're important, was condemned on a number of levels by the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and the leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer, amongst many other MPs. When eventually Nicola's body was found in the river 3 weeks after her disappearance, it wasn't by the police. It was by a couple, one of which called themselves a psychic. Now, during the investigation, the general public were branded a nuisance. Many people took to TikTok or streamed live on YouTube, heading out to the area where she was last seen, looking for Nicola in the hope they may find her. I cannot even fathom how anyone would think that was an okay thing to do. I can't even remotely begin to think what train of thought leads people to that decision. It seems like an entirely narcissistic thing to do when a family is suffering, and, well, I could go on about that, but there's only one word for ambulance chasers like that, and that is scum. Anyway, safe to say the amateur detectives hindered the investigation somewhat, and theories and speculation surrounding the disappearance did nothing but give false hope to the family. Nicola's husband himself said he didn't believe she'd fallen in the river, despite the evidence, but I can understand his rationality. He obviously didn't want to believe his wife was dead, and giving up hope was not an option to get him through an incredibly traumatic time. The police condemned the actions of the intrusive public who were causing problems at the crime scene and spreading a wealth of misinformation online about the case. People also began to say the family may have had something to do with her disappearance, particularly Nicola's husband. However, a break in the case came on the 19th of February when the police were called after a body was sadly found under a mile from where her phone had been left on the bench. The person to alert their findings to the authorities was 33-year-old Jason Rothwell. Now, here is where my blood boils, as if Nicola's family hadn't already been through enough. Jason spoke to the notoriously morally questionable Sun newspaper and said he'd found the body. He didn't confirm who it was, but he said he had found a body not far from where the 45-year-old mortgage broker was last seen. He said, "As has obviously become apparent, yes, it is myself in the images in the media currently circulating relating to the case of Nicola Bulley. And yes, yesterday morning it was myself and a friend who reported and assisted the police in the recovery of a body from the River Wire. Such as it is, it would be inappropriate for me to discuss in any further detail anything we may know about that body at this time, considering a formal identification of that body has yet to be confirmed. Now, since Nicola was found, her post-mortem showed that she died by drowning, and the police have said there was no foul play. However, recently, one of the divers, Peter Faulding, who was independently employed to search the river by Nicola's husband and best friend, has revealed that firstly, he found what he believed to be Nicola's body on his sonar equipment 11 days earlier than she was recovered from the river. This was relayed back to the family and also media outlets, which the police have recently condemned as part of the College of Policing's report on the case, saying the review team considers that some of his actions created a more challenging environment for the investigation team. His public statements often contradicted the investigative and operational approach, leading to confusion for the public and reducing the family's trust in the investigation and search operation. Peter Faulding has also publicly said that after his involvement in the search, he was approached by a man in black who was asking lots of questions and kept appearing over the following few days. This same figure was just hanging around in the river watching what was going on. He said he gave information on this man along with a photo taken by a Sudden photographer to the police, but he never received a response. I just personally feel this was another wild claim though, and honestly, speculation like that just does more harm than good. We know there are plenty of ambulance chasers out there, and I am certain this man was probably just one of those. So generally, it's safe to say that Nicola Bulley's case was handled inappropriately all round. It also bears repeating, and I know I've said this plenty of times before, but there was also hysteria surrounding the case due to missing white woman syndrome, which never fails to get the more salacious side of the press riled up, and this time definitely sent them into overdrive in Nicola's case. The syndrome happens when white women of a middle and upper class background receive disproportionate media coverage to women who are from a minority ethnic background, or from a lower social class, or both. This phenomena is still incredibly prevalent in UK media outlets and others around the world too, and still highlights the disparity in equality of journalism in this country in particular. So, Nicola's family have also spoken out about the mishandling of the case, and they feel that more could have been done at the time by the Lancashire police, and overall, this is just an absolutely heartbreaking thing to happen, and I'm truly sorry for their loss. Okay, so that was very heavy, but I don't want to leave this episode on a sad note. So to finish, I would like to introduce you to Bobi, who was crowned the world's oldest dog in February 2023. Now, Bobi claimed his crown when another dog, Spike, a 23-year-old Chihuahua, or Chihuahua as I like to call them, was given the title of world's oldest dog by Guinness. Guinness quickly got a call from Bobi's owner saying, "Hang on, that's nothing. Check out this old guy." Bobi spent his days living in the forest of Portugal with his family as their home backed onto a large estate where he could basically do whatever he wanted. A purebred Refugio do Alentejo, which I'm sure I'm completely butchering, which is a type of cattle dog. Bobi didn't really have a secret to his great age, just great living and eating, enjoying pretty much whatever his owners ate, but just plain unseasoned versions. Now, I said I wouldn't leave this episode on a sad note, but I'm sure you can all work out that even the world's oldest dog can't live forever, and that shortly after his 31st birthday, Bobi passed away. His 31st birthday, though, was an absolute banger, and over 100 guests came to give the aged canine a final party he would never forget. Bobi's owners said Bobi was one of a kind, and they were grateful they had him for 30 years in their lives. Keep it together. Keep it together. What a good boy. Thanks for joining me for that selection of weird stories. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you did, there will be more along soon, so make sure you're subscribed or following if you're not already to keep up with the series. If you like the show and what I make in general and you want it to continue, then please consider becoming a Patreon supporter like our executive Patreon producers, Amy, Christina, Christophe, Kate, Kevin, Lisa, Mary, Meg, Rose, Sally, Sam, Sarah, Teresa, Terri, V and Veronica, and all of our other patrons too. If you sign up to Patreon, you get access to my other video podcast, Having a Problem, which is a lot of silly historical based fun, plus hours of other bonus content. If you'd rather just send a tip or a little Christmas gift from my Amazon wishlist, then I would massively appreciate that too, and I'll leave all the links in the show notes in case you want to check them out. And if you pop over to the merch store, there's a little special Christmas t-shirt there that you might just want to get involved in. An enormous thank you for even considering doing any of those things, particularly when I know things are tight for a lot of people, so it really does mean the world to me, and I'm always amazed people want to help me create this creepy empire we can all call home. And it feels very good to know that you do, and I feel very appreciated, so thank you very much. Of course, now all the free things such as sharing the show around, telling your friends, and reposting my social media posts are all more helpful than you know. Let's make 2024 the year I'm able to do this full time, please. That's what's on the vision board, and you're a huge part of making that dream come true. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I've been Nikki Druce. Remember to stay spooky, and I'll see you ghouls next time for March.